Hello, Gloucester Township. Thanks for checking out the most popular podcast in Gloucester Township.
The number one podcast.
Yeah, it's Black Shirt Day apparently too.
Oh yeah, it's Black
Just
Shirt
realized
Day.
that. Been sitting here
Yeah, we got the last week we got the
memo from HR.
Yeah, blue shirts, and today is apparently black shirts.
Yeah, so it is.
You have no hat on today too. I'm just noticing all these different things. I got a haircut. I got about 5 inches of hair cut off my head. Somebody told me.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, thanks. I really don't care. Anyway, yeah. Somebody told me the other day. You know what? What did they say? You know what your Achilles heel is? You know what your problem? I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to tell me my problem is. He goes, no one knows how to take you if they take you seriously or not. Like I can't look at you and take you seriously if I don't know you. And I'm like, okay, that might be what you think my Achilles heel is, but that's your problem with me.
Yeah, it could be an advantage.
That's not my problem. I intentionally don't want people to know that. See, but you're like, once they get to know you, they know you're like you're on point. You got this. Like, yeah, exactly. I don't need anybody bothering me.
I picked the wrong time for long hair. Like I had it way back.
Back in the day,
I started through I think middle school and then high school, and then right up to the point where it was like, I gotta go out and get a job now. I had to cut it all off, and it was great. But now that I'm a job and I'm well established and everything else, I can do what I want now.
Yeah,
I'm already yeah. They can be like.
Yeah. Anyway, we're way off topic. Black Shirt Day.
Anyway, yeah, happy Memorial Day weekend. We finally made it. I mean, it's
summer.
I feel like it's still cold outside all the time.
Yeah.
But it's finally summer, and
we actually have a spring this year. That's different than normal. Usually it just goes right to hot.
It usually goes straight to 85, and then we're like, where's spring? And so it's weird. It's weird that it's 60 something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm ready to get outside and in the heat, but it's
not hot yet.
It's not hot yet. So yeah,
you know what is hot? Subscribing to our channel. So subscribe, hit the notification button. That's hot.
Yeah,
it's like
that is.
Hill.
That would be. That'd be great. That'd be great to do. Man, this
is going to be a long one, folks. So prepare.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Go grab some popcorn, some.
It was a 3-hour meeting.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to recap here.
Yeah, this is going to take you right into.
I missed it. I wasn't actually able to be there, but it was a lot to watch, to get the clips and all that kind of stuff.
You're done watching this. The holiday weekend will be over. So. No, speaking of holiday weekends and that such a thing, June 3rd. Is Gloucester Township Day. So for those of you, I don't know that I've been to a Gloucester Township Day ever.
Really?
I can't remember. I've been to a couple different things
for kids,
over there.
like rides and stuff like that, and there's booths set up with different things. It's been a while since I've been to one. I'm usually pretty busy in the summertime with other things, and this year something else. Roots Picnic is going on. I'll have to be there. So I won't be there for that, but good luck out there.
I'll be
on the
there.
Battlefields.
I'll be there. The campaign that I'm involved in here for council. We got a little booth going on there, so we'll be there.
Meeting and greeting people.
Meeting and greeting, handing out some cards and stuff like that.
Babies.
Shaking hands, kissing babies. Yeah, all that stuff. It's a long day. I don't know if I'm gonna be there the whole day or got something else too that I'm supposed to be at. So I got 2 things for that day. So
someone actually got on council and didn't have to do any of those things recently because there was a resignation, and then that means that there was an appointment by the Democrat committee to council. And why don't you take it away with that?
Well, there was some good build-up coming to this one. Remember, we talked about it last time.
Oh yeah,
the anticipation was there. Now, a month ago,
predictions were made.
Yeah, predictions. A month before all this, we made the prediction.
We already knew what was going to happen.
And we said, hey, that woman over there looks a lot like Lynn Walters, who, of course, she was on the ballot. We had to find out who she was. She looks just like that woman. I bet she's going to be the pick. But Sam Sweet was the runner-up last time, so he should be the pick, but it's probably going to be her. And they did their thing. They interviewed Sam again. They interviewed Tara. They interviewed somebody else that nobody's mentioned. And
yeah, we don't know who the third person was.
no,
right?
they didn't say.
Yeah,
but I think you could probably Oprah it. I don't know, but we got there for this meeting, and Miss Walters was there, dressed up like she had something important to do.
Oh, when you're going to Academy Awards,
she's gonna get some pictures taken.
Yeah,
her husband, I guess, I'm guessing her husband, guy, he's there in a suit. Some children, I would imagine, her family. Maybe a mother or a friend, I don't know, was there. But whole big family. Yeah, big entourage there. Nobody else was there. The other two people that were nominated to council, they weren't there. So she really banked on on this happening, or she knew ahead of time, which is, kind of what our point was going to be. This is all set up. So it was that was the first thing handled. So let's check out this part.
Okay, we have a resolution R23:05-121 to go into closed session, and in there we'll discuss the open council seat. May I have a motion to accept this resolution?
I'd like to make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Okay, we went into closed sessions. We were given 3 names by the Democratic County Committee to pick to fill the void of Andrea Stubbs' vacant seat, council seat. At this time, we'll open up the floor for any nominations.
I'd like to make a nomination of Lynn Walters to fill the vacancy of Ms. Stubbs.
Are there any other nominations?
I will second that nomination. Did I second that?
Yeah, you're a second nomination. Then see if there are any other nominations.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, close the nominations.
Couple things to take away there.
Yep.
There was no second nominations at all, so the other two didn't matter. Nobody liked him at all. But Councilwoman Grace was so excited to second that nomination that she skipped right over the other part where they said, "Are there any other nominations?" She's like, "I'd like to second that," and they're like, "It's not time to second it yet. Calm down." Just like the school board.
Oh, when that
from
went
way
down,
back, from when they jumped out of there, and they were like, "I'd like to nominate," and they're like, "It's not even time for that yet. Hold on a
We
second."
didn't even take roll call yet. We have to salute the flag first,
folks. We have to pretend like we're doing this the right way, for God's sake. But another takeaway from this,
well, to start off, the council president. So the nominee. And who ended up winning the seat appointment, whatever you call it? She's a nurse in the school district,
yes,
right? And Orlando, who's the president, is a human resources supervisor in the school system. He was on vacation during this meeting, so Vice President Mignon is the one that was running the meeting. So there's no conflict there because Orlando never actually voted for her to go on there. The rest of council voted for her to be on
move.
There. Just throwing that out there. I don't know. So the rest of the meeting you won't see the normal tyrannical movements of or actions of him.
Yeah.
However, other people just stepped up and took the place at some other points of this. But
whenever Orlando can't jump in to squash people down, you've always got Dan.
Yeah, he's got backup. There's no worry.
He's got Dan. We get Carlamere gets fired up in there. Mignon speaks for the first time in 2 years. It's a lot going on.
It's an interesting meeting. So again, make sure your popcorn. We're going by 2 minutes or so. That's enough time for passing. Or popping the popcorn in the microwave. But we had some other questions about how that all went down as well. So we had another clip where there's, as you're aware, in different parts of the government, there's like an executive branch, there's the legislative branch, and a separation of powers, right? So on the dais up there, when you're looking at, there's an engineer. I think that's what he is, an engineer, a paid professional.
All the way through
then
the
you
left,
have council members who have a voting right up there,
Yeah.
or like the legislative body, so to speak. And then you have their solicitor who represents the town and them, I guess, in a sense. And then there's also the administration, who would be Tom Cardis, which is a completely separate entity in and of itself. The council is there to kind of keep the administration in check, and there's that's what checks and balances are, right? But if you watch this here, if you think about, so we're nominating a person to be on council, and then watch what happens when they go in to discuss who are we going to vote and why, and
keep an
watch
eye.
what goes in the room.
Keep an eye on Cardis, blue shirt, white hair.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay, we have a resolution, R23:05-121, to go into closed session, and in there we'll discuss the open council seat.
And then watch how many people it takes to watch the noise machine so nobody can hear.
Oh,
three
yeah.
people need to touch it to
everybody's
make
got
sure.
to tune the noise machine up to make sure nobody hears.
There's one.
There's Cardis right there, tuning the noise machine up.
Two. There's Troxel. Third one here now.
Apparently, Chief knows how to do it.
Make sure nobody can hear what's going on in there. But they all went in there except for the engineer, I guess he is. I can understand the lawyer, solicitor.
Yeah.
I can understand that. But what did
Dan,
this?
here
What
comes
did? Why did he need to go in the room?
Oh man, there's some good audio there.
My lord!
So,
We
yeah.
gotta cut that.
Yeah, we
Jesus.
probably should have cut that last part off, but man, Cardis goes in
to make a decision that he has no decision making in.
That's a conflict. I mean, if this all functioned properly, the 7 people that are on council
They're
are
the ones that would make that
overseeing the administration, which is Cardis.
right.
So why is he going in the meeting with them?
He should have zero say, any nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Nothing at all.
Why was he in that room? I have no
Because
idea.
he's calling the shots.
Oh,
He's calling the shots.
potentially.
Yes.
It's just something to note, and when they wonder why we don't trust our government or why we question things, that's a perfect example. So
Because it's not functioning properly
it's
right
not
there.
exactly.
You
There's
just
proof of
saw
it right there.
You just saw it not functioning properly.
Right.
I don't think he walked through that room and then went in a window and looked in the window until they were done and
Right.
he said, "Okay, I'll let you guys back out now." I don't.
He could have
think
sat
that
in the
happened.
seat that he was in and say, "Oh, council, this is your thing, not mine.
Oh, he would
Go make your move."
He's not gonna sit out there with the minions on the floor.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Man.
Yeah, all the peons out in the
So
in the audience.
a lot more talk about separation of powers, and
Yeah.
that's actually it's Pete brought it up right afterwards too when you talk about a not well functioning council. So Pete's clip was
So yeah, the way that a lot of this stuff works, like the budget and things like that, is the administration has the, we'll say, idea or the thing, and they present it to council to then vet it out and see, is this a good idea for the town or not, and let's vote on it, because they're the representatives of the town in making the rules, passing the budget, doing the different things that go on there. So you'd think that they would know and be educated on what it is that they're voting on. And it's been brought up multiple times that it seems that no one knows even what the heck they're even voting on. They just vote yes. Now, there's, I'm sure, things that go on, and they do discuss things, behind the scenes, and that this is the formalities of, like, yes, it needs to go through this. But when they're asked questions about things, you very well could have. You can tell us that you're doing all these things of discussing things ahead of time and asking questions and whatnot. But when the public asks specifically to counsel to answer the question, and then counsel then immediately deflects off to someone else because they don't either know the answer or don't want to answer that question, it makes you question it. So Pete was asking that question of something that was going on,
and what they'll bring up here is the protocol is when a person from the public comes up and asks a question, they ask it to council president. Council president directs that question to the best person he knows how to answer. That should be, now if this was all done properly, anyone on council would have probably asked those questions. Sometimes maybe they don't ask the question.
Well, they claim to ask those questions all the time. They often say, we talk about this all the time. Well, then why don't you know the answer right now?
But if the question was never asked by anybody on council, it's fair that they go to Cardis and they say, hey, could you provide some clarity on it? But
there are a lot of basic questions, though, that are asked, you know?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But so Pete asks this question about an item and money.
Okay, let's play the clip and just watch her.
Good evening, Council. Peter Heighbaugh, Morningstar Court. Councilman Lynn Walters, welcome to Gloucester Township Council.
Thank you.
First question regarding Resolution 131. How much is the annual open space tax revenue? That's the open space agenda item. I'm asking council, please.
Mr. Cardis?
I'm asking council, please.
I know you are, Pete, but just because Orlando is not here doesn't mean you can change protocol. Mr. Cardis.
Mr. Hutchinson, council should know what they're voting on. It's legitimate to ask the question.
Pete, we have a protocol. You know the protocol. Don't ask to change.
Okay, could you refresh me on that then?
Yes, all questions go to the council president, and he's going to defer to the business administrator. You know that's what to do.
If council is then unable to answer it, I suppose. It's,
Pete, you're taking advantage of the situation here.
open space revenue, what is that typically spent on each year? Council members?
Mr. Cardis?
Never mind.
Thank you.
Right, so they proved this point there. Neither question
Nobody
they can
knows.
answer.
Nobody knows what they're up there voting for. They're picked because of that. They picked a new one because of that. There was no process that went on picking these people. They're picked because of this.
Yeah.
And it's obvious here that we have no representation. It was an infuriating meeting.
But so the one council member Hutchison that spoke out of order and kind of put Pete in his place about the protocol and told him about you need to go to council president and all that was also out of order that he was blaming Pete for doing. He himself was in turn out of order. So he was called out on that as well, and it was called out by I think a few people, but we have a couple different clips of people calling it out, and they're not wrong. It's.
And the other takeaway too is that he said you're taking advantage of a situation, as if Mignon, who's been on council for a long time, can't handle this. Dan's got to stick up for him now.
Right.
I mean, is Mignon?
Is he not strong enough?
Is he a lesser council member that he has to stick up for him? No, he's been there. He's been there for a long time. Let him do his thing. I'm sure he can speak for himself. And that is protocol.
Yeah.
That he would talk about. That he would speak for himself and not having Dan do it for him. So that was brought up. Somebody else wanted to know. Well, who's actually breaking the rules here?
The way I understood the protocol that Councilman Hutchinson was referring to was that we are permitted to ask the council president, if filled in by the vice president, the person in charge is the way I understand it. We're permitted to ask them permission to address another member of either the solicitor, the business administrator, township clerk, or a member of the council directly. Do I understand it properly? Because I just heard Mr. Heighbaugh get scolded.
Well, the question would come into myself, who's running the meeting, and then I would delegate it to who I see fit.
But you didn't answer Mr. Heimbaugh's question. Mr. Hutchinson interrupted you.
And I deferred it when he asked the other question to Mr. Cardis, the business administrator.
Well, you followed the instruction of Mr. Hutchinson, who is
Well, that was the
not.
instructions that I was going to follow, Ms. Smithman.
Oh, but so he interrupted you.
Oh, so he interrupted you.
I was totally gonna handle that.
Oh my God.
So good on Miss Smithman for an excellent point there. It's
She noticed it. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, but she also called them out. Asking certain things are supposed to happen and they don't actually happen, and you say it's supposed to be this, but here we are. Play that clip.
The rules change quite frequently.
Well, I would understand that, but it's just me standing here asking questions here. I'm told to sit down when the protocol was set, that we're allowed to speak, and then I'm told to sit and I have to come back up. So right in front of you, what is supposed to happen and what actually happens is very different.
Yep, it is. What's supposed to happen and what actually happens are completely different, and that can be said for a lot of different things, and this is just one example.
So the separation of powers thing, I don't know. That's got to be. I think. If it's the one thing that I think if people understood, things would be different. I think when you
that's it.
Well,
That's the one thing.
If you walk into there off the street and you've never been to a meeting before, and you're like, okay, all those people up there, that's all the government, and they're doing what they want to do. And if you don't understand the structure, it just seems like that's how it's supposed to be.
But like that there's all one. That's all one decision up there.
Yeah, and you don't realize.
But the reality of it is, it's one decision that's brought to another body to check and see if our decision that we were making passes the muster, kind of scenario, right?
Well, yeah.
How do you explain it?
Whether or not you have a crowd of 5 people in the audience or 500, there's 7 people that are sitting up there among all those people that are up there,
right?
That are the representatives of the people in the crowd in the township,
right?
So essentially, there's somebody up there that represents me. There's somebody up there that represents you. In a good, in a good. Yeah,
oh, okay. I didn't get your clarifying question. Okay, gotcha.
Not here, but if this all functioned well, there would be somebody up there that represents my views, I would think.
Right.
Unless I've got crazy views or something, but I don't. And that's where it fails. Cardis going in and voting on
that's
people.
A perfect example.
It's a great example of it. And then council members just taking what he says and not questioning it. Well, then we don't need council members anymore. If we're just going to take everything that Cardis says, we don't need council members.
Right.
We just have we just have Cardis sitting up there. Everything else is empty. We ask him questions, and then we say, "Wow, we don't like that." And he goes, "This is what it is." I go, "Okay, that's what it is." And then we leave. There's no need for up there.
Right. I mean, at the point where people talk about transparency and not trusting the government, they could come out and say he literally didn't say one word, didn't weigh in on anything. That's great. Then let him sit outside over here. The optics of what happened in that scenario, explain to me how I'm supposed to interpret that as anything other than a collusion that took place that shouldn't have taken place.
Yeah, they shouldn't be on the same team.
They're not on the same team.
In fact, they should have maybe sometimes hard feelings because council should maybe ask the hard questions, and then maybe he doesn't like when they ask the hard questions. So
right, and that's how government works, and that's how your taxes don't go up every other year. That's how a lot of things get better when there is a friction between the two, and there's a stopping, just a movement of like, hey, guess what? We're going to take $6 million out of the MUA's, and we're going to put that right into our budget. And guess what? Now we have a 0 increase this year. well, wait a minute. Who's
Yeah.
what other
it's
thing
So what we get is he says we're going to take $6 million, and then instead of council saying, I don't know if it's a good idea if we take the $6 million, council defends the $6 million.
Right.
They don't even say, that's a good question, or we asked that question, we got a good answer. No.
It's
They're
all one
defending
team.
it. They're defending it. And Ray Polidoro brings it up too.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the historic village of Ariel. I did not intend on speaking at this portion. However, when somebody brought up protocol, I thought that I would remind the Council the protocol is that questions are addressed to Council President. Council President then delegates those to answer, not jump out of line and lambaste somebody from the public that's asking the question. And to Mr. Heighbaugh and Ms. Smithman's point, when a question is being asked and you constantly defer to the business administrator, once again, it exemplifies that there's no separation of powers in this town. If you don't know what you're voting for and you have to keep on going to Mr. Cardis, then you're not an effective body. Step up, find out, research. That's what you get the packet for. And if you see the topics that are going to be discussed, do your homework, bring it with you. There's no reason why all 7 members of this council can't answer a question based on what's on the agenda, because that's what the heck you're voting on. Separate the powers, stand up on your own, and stop going to the administration.
Yep.
So yeah, there's no separation of powers here, and when it comes down to it, those 7 people sitting up there really have. Well, most of the time, it is Council President Mercado. He does all the talking.
Yeah,
he
fields
asks the questions to mostly just to Carlamere, to
Cardis.
Cardis.
Man, you had a
Carlamere,
brain fart there.
I did.
But
yeah.
even that, though, even though they deflect off to Cardis, most of the time he still doesn't know the answer and needs to get back to somebody. I mean, explain to me how there's people up there that are voting on it, don't know the answer. They go to the person who's supposed to know or who submitted this, thing. He doesn't know the answer. He needs to get back. Who's informed around here? Is that used as I'm not going to answer you because I need to get back to you? Or do they legitimately not know? Neither is a good neither is a good reason. You know what I mean? You're either completely incompetent in doing your job, or you're intentionally lying to us. Tell me how either way is. Tell me how there's a third option in that.
I think it's a combination of the guy has probably like 7 jobs now.
Well, that's true too. But he remembers things when he wants to.
And he's not truthful. Oh yeah.
He will remember. He probably knows everything, and just well.
But
it's convenient to not know things at certain times.
It is. But Mr. Carlamere will tell you how fortunate we are to have the administration there.
Well, that was a great line, yeah.
This is like, hey, we have trash pickup in this township.
Right.
I've been sitting up here as township attorney for many years, having previously also served the governing body. What's important here to recognize, not too many towns that I know of during their council meetings request their administrator and directors to be present, even chief to be present at these meetings. The purpose of that has been established as the agenda of this form of government, that the directors are present to answer questions that come from the public. That's why the business administrator's up here, that's why the chief is here, that's why department heads are here, planning is here to answer specific questions to be more detailed and exact. This is a legislative body. A lot of the questions that come up are on the executive side. That's why this council has the directors, administrators present at all council meetings to answer those questions.
Man, we're so fortunate.
So what he said about the most of the questions come up are on the executive side, and the council is the legislative side. So at what point in time then are you supposed to, if we're asking council, who is a separate body, like he just described there, but most of the questions are for the administration, we're somehow lucky to have the administration there? Like, well, if they weren't there, how else would we question our government in a public meeting or in a public hearing, or like, how does that make us lucky? To your same point of, you guys have premium service. We pick up your trash, and there's a public works department and police.
Yeah.
That's
Can you imagine
premium.
what it would be if there was no administration up there, since council doesn't ask any questions? Anybody that asked any questions would just be...
I don't know.
Let me write that down, and we'll email you a right answer later.
Right.
And the next person... At least the meetings would be short.
But I mean, what a crock of crap that answer was.
No, you got 7 people taking up chairs up there, and nobody's using them.
Right. Yeah.
It's broken.
And to say that, that we make the plan. No, you don't. The planner, until there was the most recent, I forget her name, I apologize, but the most recent planner that was out there, when it was Mr. Petrangelo as the planner, how many times was he there? Maybe 3 times in the the year or whatever it was that he was there. I don't recall him being there. Once Ken Lechner left, and that position was now created and made 2 people. Neither of those people were there for extended period of time. So don't sit up there and tell us that all these people. Please. That's whatever.
Outside of our broken government, we are we're going to take the MUA, which seems to be functioning normally, and we're going to wrap that into the township so that we can break it.
Right.
But you would ask, well, why? Why are we gonna take this in? And the answer that we got previously was
it was our biggest fear. Basically, there's a surplus at the MUA, which is build up over time, and throughout this meeting, it was implied as if this this surplus happens every year. They overbill by $6 million. Yeah. They have a budget of $3 million or $5 million, and they have a surplus of $6 million. I understand that over time, yes, that has built up, and there is a decent amount of surplus. But that surplus is there for the infrastructure that we have that is aged out and well beyond its its lifespan. So it's there to replace things when they go bad. It's not like it's not needed. It's just like you're saving up for a trip that you want to go on to, or if you equate it to a household budget, it's something similar to what they've been doing. And if you listen to these people in this this meeting here, you would think that it was a bad thing that they saved any of this money, that they put it away for a day when it's raining sewage all over, and they need to spend it to make a repair.
And they kind of made it sound ridiculous because the MUA has a $5 million budget, but they have $6 million in surplus. They made it sound like that's a ridiculous thing. Well, it's not, because the MUA probably won't have to borrow in a situation where something comes up.
Exactly.
And if you
they love borrowing, though.
So think about what it costs to pave a road.
Well, they've told us it's about $1 million per mile.
$1 million per mile,
or in our town.
That's the
curb
take
to
up.
curb.
That's the take up what's on the road and put new asphalt down. Now think about MUA. It's under the road.
Wait a minute. So we would have to repair a road to fix some of the pipes?
Well, in some cases, look, you got to tear the road up. You got to dig down, and then you've got to take all that old infrastructure that's out there out.
It's not cheap.
What can we afford? Maybe 3 miles of 3 miles. That's it. $6 million isn't going to cover a lot.
Right.
So when you talk about repairing that kind of stuff, $6 million isn't a lot. This is government too. This is government work. They overcharge for everything. Right. $6 million isn't going to get us anywhere. If there's any kind of catastrophic failure, there was just a sinkhole.
Yep, right down the street from the MUA. Was that Lower Landing Road?
Yeah. What did that cost?
I don't know.
They're going to, when the township takes it over and any catastrophic thing happens, they're going to take a loan out for it, and they're going to pay that loan over 10 years, and then it's just going to go into the money that we already owe. Mm-hmm. So a $6 million surplus it's nothing, and they made it sound like it was so irresponsible that they were banking all this money.
Right.
Well, not in that case. And we talked.
It's that somehow keeping that money for replacing infrastructure is somehow a negative, but yet borrowing $16 million last year to put us into debt by that much or whatever, whatever the exact amount was, that was responsible and that would be recommended. But keeping $6 million for a rainy day is irresponsible. So we're going to dissolve that whole thing, pull their money from them, balance our budget here to be able to not increase taxes because it's an election year, and you should like it. Well, and you're actually an asshole for asking and questioning my my thing for this. Yeah,
and that's what it comes down to. That's what it's about. They have that $6 million, and the township wants it.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was because they screwed up this year and they didn't budget right, and they're possibly facing, hey, we got to raise taxes in an election year. We got 4 council members up. If we lose those 4 seats, we lose majority, we got to do something drastic.
There's going to be an actual separation of powers. I can't have that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine what that would happen?
Yeah.
Oh.
Forbid that it turns into the chaos that the school board is right now, that parents are in charge and it actually functions properly. So
it's insane.
That's
But you're not allowed to question it. You're
No, so I mean Pete did, to start it off, Pete says, all right, we kept talking about savings. What is it that we're actually going to save?
Well, not even go ahead, play your clip.
Right.
I've been sitting up here as township attorney for many years.
You played the wrong one.
I previously also served.
Again, I'm going back to the specifics of what we're saying are the financial benefits to do this. And there's a list of what those benefits could be. But like I said, only $70,000 per year is itemized and specified. The rest is just a list without dollar figures or specifics, or if this is going to be worth it for the people of the town, it needs to be worth more than $70,000 a year in savings. The township collects property taxes at 99.7% collection rate. The MUA collects their billings at 93.7. So that difference, that's going to be a benefit to this dissolution and merger, but it doesn't say how, or are we saying that this 93.7 collection rate the MUA currently has is going to increase after this merger? Doesn't say how, it just doesn't even say it's going to get better. It just compares the two and lists it as a financial benefit.
So in a clip that I skipped over, so Pete breaks it down.
So that clip there was going over the specifics because it was an overall question saying, why don't we play that clip first?
Yeah, let's play that clip because there's some bit to that.
So regarding the savings, I did go through the itemized savings that are hoping to be realized through this dissolution and merger. I saw very little specifics. I saw $30,000 savings for eliminating the MUA board. They get a stipend for being on the board. That amounts to $30,000 a year. I saw $12,000 for eliminating a duplicate payroll system or something like that. And I saw another $30,000 for some accounting, merging the accounting systems or something like that. So that's $70,000 per year. We're not doing this for the good of the town to save $70,000, are we? I mean, we paid the consultants more than that to put together the application. I'm sure we paid these consultants 6 figures to put together that 75-page application. So surely we're not doing this to save $70,000 a year.
It's not 6 figures. And again, you don't know what...
I'm asking you.
You don't know what decisions we're processing.
I'm asking you what we're going to save now.
I hope to save quite a bit. I'm also hoping to upgrade the system and make sure that it's run very efficiently, and take a look at the IT situation, take a look at the safety down at the building.
No specifics.
Pump stations.
We should have I read the report and it was very light on specifics.
I'm so surprised that you're against that.
Hey, he's so surprised he's against that.
Cardis being Cardis again.
Oh my God! I heard him say what he was hoping to do was to spend more money there. I'm going to upgrade the systems. I'm going to check out the IT department. But yeah, it might all need to be done. I'm hoping to save a lot. I guess what? I'm hoping to hit the effing lottery.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to save. But Pete identified on their own report it was $70,000 out of a $5 million budget. So if you do the math on that, that's a 1.4% savings.
And months ago we talked about we were gonna cut.
Yeah.
We're going to cut
0.14,
redundancies and jobs and stuff like that. And people are all worried about losing their jobs. And we're going to do all this stuff. There was union guys coming in. They were worried. And when it all said and done, we're going to save $70,000.
Right.
And then we're going to pay a consultant. Now, he said it's not six figures.
Right. So Pete takes a jab at him.
It's probably like $98,000.
Right.
We're gonna pay $98,000 to save $70,000.
Right.
So I don't know.
But they get offended at asking questions. This is what we're supposed to. This is the process. This is why it's called a public hearing for this. For doing this. That's why there was no time limit, because the public has all the right in the world to ask questions. But when you're given answers in an attitude like that, is that how you're supposed to be talked to? I don't know.
No, he's just asking. He's just asking, but they get mad because he's asking questions.
Right.
And maybe that's why council doesn't ask questions. Maybe they just got tired of Cardis being mad at him.
It could be. Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, so everybody knows where the mayor works. I'm pretty sure. Well, everybody but up there knows where the mayor works.
Right.
And the fear that came up, this came up a couple months ago in discussion. People said, "Well, wait." The mayor works for American Water. They've bought MUAs and that's kind of what they do. Are we getting ready to sell our MUA off to American Water? Like, is that the plan?
Are we taking a step in that direction?
Now you could go.
We already know you're after the money, the surplus. We know that much. So you got that. The mayor is the one that's calling these shots and says, hey, you know what? My job is actually to help, build the company here and privatize water. I'm the mayor of Gloucester Township. It's an election year. I could get the surplus to help balance the budget. In the meantime, take the MUA and roll it into, the Public Works Department, because what the hell does Public Works know about the MUA? And hey.
Yeah, and then
problem solved. Now at work, I also get a good old attaboy, So that's a good question. It's a fair question, right?
Maybe Public Works doesn't know how to handle the MUA, and they go, we couldn't handle it. We sold it off to somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then, boom, fat bonus for...
It was a bad idea to do that, so we sold it off,
Yeah, somebody will lose their job probably, and then then the mayor's the hero because he saved us all, like the ambulance service,
Oh yeah.
Hey, look, it was an emergency. We had
done.
major repairs, and we didn't have the money to do it, so hand it off to American Water. They're gonna take care of it. Your bill, it's gonna go up a little bit.
We have no control over that though.
Yeah,
so
it's not.
don't blame us. But
so people ask. Is this the case? Is the eventual plan?
Right. You would have thought when Pete asked this, you would have thought that Pete took a rocket to the moon and asked a Martian. Does the mayor's job title as just to hear? They're like, who? Where does he work? What?
Yeah,
it was insane.
You know what? Let's take the road mic and just hit right on the road.
Right.
It's late at night. Let's just go knock on somebody's door and go, do you know what our mayor does for a living? And they'll answer.
Well, they'll have two, right?
Two things. They'll tell you he works for Comcast or he works for American Water. Everybody knows this.
Right. It is probably one of the most common known questions.
It's always brought up. Apparently, nobody on council knows what the mayor does.
I mean, literally shocked. They had no... Wait, what's his title? Where does he work?
David Mayer?
Like,
I've heard that name before.
They're like, I actually looked on his disclosure, his financial disclosure form, and it says right here, he's the one that provided this. I didn't make this up. And they're like, I didn't look at that document, so I have no idea where he works.
Check out this acting.
Our mayor holds a position with New Jersey American Water, and his position is Director of Government Affairs and Business Development. Is that true? He holds that position?
Cricket.
I don't know.
I saw that on his latest disclosure, his financial disclosure.
I haven't looked at it.
So a natural question would be, is there any plans in the works after this dissolution and merger because of the mayor's ties to New Jersey American Water, who does privatize utilities like this, that's part of their business model. Is there any discussion or plans or longer term plan to do that?
I'm not made aware of anybody else.
There has this preserved it in the town. If that was
For today.
that could have been
Yeah.
done, right?
That has not been
done
discussed. We didn't discuss that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it, the title again that you?
This is from the mayor's financial disclosure form that's required by law as the position. The title is New Jersey American Water is the name of the company. It's a
Yeah, he does.
utility
work for them,
company.
but I don't know his title.
The position is Director of Government Affairs and Business Development, which sounds like looking for privatization deals in corporate speak.
But this clearly shows that that's not.
Well, it says it today. That's not what's happening today. Is this a precursor step?
Theoretically, it could be done, but it wasn't done. This was done.
I used to think old Mike Mignon sitting down there quiet on the corner was I just thought he was a straight up guy that just was quiet, and he's just sitting in the seat for the man.
He's going for the Emmy.
That job there, man, was just he does what?
What did you say that title was again?
David Mayer? Is that our mayor? My God. Are you kidding me? Everybody knows this.
They all couldn't answer together fast enough to say, no, I don't know. I'm not sure. I couldn't. Go back and rewind this a few seconds, guys, and go play that again. It is insanely comical that was what we just witnessed there. I have no idea. I didn't look. I never heard that. I don't know. How does no one know that?
No.
What? Oh my God!
Just go random people at the outlets tomorrow and just ask them if they know what the mayor does.
Oh my God!
What's going on?
So the MUA part, I guess that's what we should explain why there's so much about this. During this portion here, there's no time limit for people. They try to keep it to a few minutes, and then let the next person go up, and you can go back up again. So we had a lot of discussion around this, and some of the clips got to be a little bit lengthy, but they were well worth it. So a couple of the ones that we have coming up here could be on the longer side of a little clip. It's a longer portion, but the next one we had of Denise going. This is the one that was longer. No, I'm on the wrong one.
Oh, okay. This is not the long one, but
yeah, she had. Well, it's not the long one, but
Denise goes up there with a lot of detail, so her stuff can.
She does.
Her stuff. It's hard to cut.
It's hard to cut. Yeah, there's a lot of good information in there because she does research around it, and she tries to hold her government accountable, and they just.
But I think she kind of goes up there and she backs up. She backs up basically what Pete was asking, and just kind of says, "Look, we're looking for answers. We're not getting the answers."
Right.
So let's hit that one.
Mr. Cardis, are you saying we really don't have an idea how much money this is going to save us a year?
We have some estimates, but we don't know because there's obviously as we go through this and combine professionals and other things like that, we expect savings.
How could you not have
Not to mention
a good idea?
Not to mention the surplus balance that's sitting there of almost $6.3 million on a $5.1
Right, as if that's a bad thing.
budget. I mean, how can you ignore that? Even the local finance board took note of that.
Okay, but that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is on a yearly basis, you really don't have any idea how much money this is going to save.
We're going to save money. I cannot tell you the exact amount of money, Denise.
I'm not saying exact. I'm saying if this has been worked on for a very long time, and I'm assuming that some very smart people worked on this, it seems to me that you should have a general idea of what percentage of money you're going to see.
I'm not going to commit to a figure here.
I'm not asking you to commit, but if Pete is saying $70,000, that hardly seems worthwhile.
Appreciate that, Mr. Cardis.
That's not an answer.
Okay, if you can accumulate $6 million in a bank, and we're taking it over, doesn't that by definition indicate that we're going to be able to find savings?
No?
Okay, then I can't convince you.
Okay, that's fine. And I don't know how me ever answering your questions ever gets me answers to mine.
Well, I
So-
just answered your question.
No, you don't. I never really get answers. That's not an answer to my question. You asking me questions is not an answer to mine.
How do you accumulate $6 million if you're billing for services, okay, and you bill in excess of what you need, and you accumulate $6 million? Doesn't that by
The township has a surplus every year, don't they?
Doesn't that
Does the township have a surplus every year?
80 million?
Yes.
doesn't that by definition suggest that there's tremendous savings that can be had?
Well, by the township having a surplus every year, does that suggest that the township is overbilling its residents also?
A $3 million surplus on a $75 million budget?
Again,
For real?
you know, me answering your questions doesn't ever get me answers to mine. It was a simple question. If you're doing something like this, if somebody came to me and said, oh, Denise, I wanted you to spend a year figuring this out and doing all this work, and when you're done, I'm going to give you $7. You know what I would say? You're out of your ever-loving mind. So if he's saying $70,000 and you're telling me you really don't have any idea,
$6.3 million.
that's how much money we're going to save, $6.3 million.
That's what they have sitting in this surplus.
Yeah, I know, that's the
On a
money that the township
$5.1
is
million
getting to
budget.
balance our budget this
Okay,
year, I get
compare our
that.
$75 million budget, $3 million surplus. Something's not right there.
Okay, there's a lot of things that aren't right with the township's budget either, but here we are,
I
you
get it,
know?
Denise, you're not in favor of it, okay?
I didn't say I wasn't in favor. Do I have enough information to even decide? I don't think so. So that's my point. How do you, the boards mean nothing to me, okay? The boards mean nothing, okay? All the boards in this township are stacked with people that are all friends and relatives and neighbors and Democrat committee. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, they just
Not
keep
wrong.
stacking it up, though.
Yeah.
They do keep stacking it up. Wasn't there new names? There's a whole bunch of new names now on the Democrat committee. Was that?
There were, yeah. The sample ballot came out. That will be for the primary, and
There's a whole bunch of new family members of other people that whose names we already know. So they're
it looked like there was
stacking it up.
Councilman Hutchinson's son, Orlando Mercado's son, the new councilwoman's Winters.
Yes.
Is that what? It,
Yeah,
no, Walters.
Walters'
son. I forget. Nancy Fritz. Who's on the school board's son? Right, he's the mayor. Is he the mayor's assistant or
Mayor's
something like
assistant.
that? Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's on the committee or
They're-
on the ballot to be on the committee.
Yeah.
Either way, whatever.
Yeah, they're stacking it. They're
them up.
stacking it. They're stacking it.
Getting
deep
a new generation involved.
for years to come.
Yep.
And oh yeah, Cardis too. Cardis could not. Dude, he was so Rain Man on this clip, man. That $6.3 million got him so excited. He just had to keep saying it.
Yeah.
And she's up there, he has to have that money so bad.
Yeah.
And he just can't sit there and listen to Denise. He's just up there saying it.
Yeah.
Kmart. He's just $6.3 million. He just
Wapner's
he
at 6.
loves it.
Wapner's
Boy, he
at
can't
6.
wait to get that money and waste it. And then next year,
Waste it. He said. Yeah.
Next
But
year,
Denise she's not wrong in her, in her questions there. Them asking her questions doesn't get her answer to her questions. She said at least 3 times.
No, it's a
there,
great
and
way.
She's 100%
It's
right.
a great way to burn time and deflect and just ask her more questions back on top of her questions. So, yeah, that's what happens.
Right. When you're saying, doesn't it by definition mean that there's savings to be had there? Yeah, you're right. And aren't there also times that we need that money for major catastrophes, so now we won't have to borrow? Isn't that by definition a savings account that we won't have to borrow? Like, you can play it however you want to play it here.
Yeah.
But because you're saying it doesn't make the other side of it wrong. You know what I mean? It's two different ways of looking at the same thing.
Yeah, there's their right way, and then there's everybody else's right way.
Right.
And they clearly played different than most other people that think normally, I guess.
Right.
But
I mean, to be fair, he's not wrong. Like a surplus by definition is, yes, you overcharge. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing, you know?
Right. But if they didn't, if they met budget every year, then if something happens...
Why is the township... What, don't we have a Camden County MUA? Don't we also pay a Camden County MUA bill?
I've never figured
If that's the case, what the hell is it doing to the township instead of...
You know what? There's something that we can do for the people. We like to do investigations. We can figure out why the hell we pay 3 people.
Right, yeah.
For water and sewer.
Yeah.
Let's figure that out for once and all. Whenever somebody new moves here...
First question.
After a couple of months, they're going,
I just paid this.
They get on Facebook and they go, is it me or do you all pay 3 different bills for water and sewer?
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, welcome to the area.
Yep.
So that's it. Fortunately, I think for MUA stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't stop this asking questions thing. Doesn't end there.
Yeah. So back to the interview process about. Well, this had to do with the interview process. If you were not aware, so Sam Sweet is running for county commissioner, and if you remember back in 2021, when Sam Sweet ran for mayor, somebody found some memes. We talked about this on the last podcast. And,
yeah. And
all of a sudden they turned Sam into a misogynist. He's a terrible man now because he joked around with some memes, and
which them calling him a misogynist is pretty ironic, but we'll get into that.
Yeah,
later.
Camden County, Gloucester Township, the Democrats there are pretty stacked with some pretty shitty characters, some pretty bad pasts, and in this situation, it was brought up again because Sam interviewed for council.
And during that interview process, they film it, they did this time. We supposedly they said that was, and I couldn't find the clip to play again. I know I heard it. They said that that's standard practice. You know,
they did not do it years ago when I interviewed.
Right, but they claimed I heard them say that it was standard practice, like that they recorded all the time. So Dina gets up there and asks about this video that was recording of Sam's interview, which somehow ended up on some website called, was it NJ Globe?
NJ Globe, yeah.
NJ Globe, where it was made to, to look it was put out to make Sam look bad. Sam didn't do himself any favors by some of the things that he, said in there, but that's besides the point. The point is the video leaked out. And Dina Hendry from town, she went up and asked about, like, hey, is this standard practice that we're doing this? And then who was in the room, when this happened? And we always, say about how they answer a question you didn't ask. So watch how many times it takes her literally to ask the most basic question. And not only does she ask the question, at one point in time, they clarify her question for her to help ask the question, and then immediately answer a different question. It's insane. It almost takes practice to do this. They gotta have practice for this.
Can you confirm who was conducting the interviews of the candidates?
There were 3 candidates that were interviewed. The first, Mr. Sweet.
No. Who was conducting, not who was in the interviews? Like, who was doing the interviewing?
It was complete participation by the interviewers. There were 2 or 3 candidates.
So there was nobody else in the room?
No.
Asking questions?
No.
Okay. So how does that go about if nobody's asking questions to?
But no, the people who were doing the interview were asking the questions.
Who were the people interviewing them?
Yeah, there was 7, 8, 9, 10 questions that were asked.
I know, but who were the people interviewing the people?
Council members, myself, Dan, Carolyn, Orlando, council folks.
There was nobody else in there?
I guess it's over in a clip.
Oh yeah, it was over. Yeah. I just thought it was. I thought it was just Mike pausing. I thought he froze up.
8 times it took her. 8 times ask who was in the room.
Question. Who's asking him the questions?
I think there's about 7 questions that were asked. What? I didn't ask about how many questions were asked. Who were the people in the room? There were 3 candidates that were submitted. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm
just mind you, this is the same guy that just answered. What's the mayor's?
Who's our mayor?
Mayor's job. Oh my God, it's.
So yeah, that was. Hopefully that's all we see. Well, I guess the primary is coming up pretty soon, so I guess they'll stop attacking Sam soon enough.
Yeah,
unless he wins.
Oh, then it will.
Unless he wins, and then I guess.
Well, then it'll be a race against whoever the Republicans have up, right? Because Sam's running on the Democrat ticket, and then the Republicans have.
Who do they have for commissioner?
No idea.
I don't know.
I don't really care. The next one we're going into the representation question that Dina asks here.
I don't remember what this one was, but
I'm drawing a blank as well.
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Whether, in my opinion, whether you're a registered Democrat or a Republican, should have zero bearing. If I can say for myself, I'm not interested in power. I can say I'm interested in the betterment of this township. I can also say, for those who speak up, show up, and put themselves out there meeting after meeting, we're looking also for the betterment of this township. We're looking for individuals who want to represent us and not to be a puppet or being the puppet master. We're looking to be heard, to be treated fairly, and to be comfortable with our government, making decisions on our behalf, spending our hard-earned money like if it was their own. And most importantly, we're looking for transparency. Most of us need the biggest investment that we'll ever make in our lives living here, right here in Gloucester Township. I ask you to please no longer allow people and individuals interfere with the goodness of what you guys are here to do and represent us. I thank you.
She just wrote my campaign speech.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's the thing. Everybody that I've surrounded myself with in the last few years, none of them have any political aspirations, really. It's a crappy job to get involved in a situation like this, and it's not fun. Like the politics side of thing, it's not fun. But I know all these people that do this for that particular goal of I just want to make things better. You know, like I said,
it's a shame.
Weeks ago, I never wanted to get involved in any of this.
Right.
There's so many other things that I could be doing.
Right. I need this like I need a hole in the head.
But, and it's, you know, and it's talking to talking to the other people that I've talked to, like Joe D'Amico, for example. Guy's got a lot of different businesses. Running for mayor, is running for council again this year. Guy's so busy, it's unbelievable. Losing money probably to get involved in all this and waste time in it, but just has that I got to step up because nobody else is stepping up.
Right.
And that's just it, man. There's so many people, and that's you gotta recognize those people, and you gotta find those people. Give them a chance, man. Give them a chance, because
yeah, that's like I get involved in. Like I said, I needed like a hole in my head, but it's who's gonna do it. Nobody else is standing up to do something, so I guess I have to.
These people that are taking advantage, they're taking advantage of this situation where people don't know enough or they don't care enough to get out and vote for good people. And they just know, look, all we got to do is just keep filling this thing in with family members, and we all work together, and we will stay in power forever because folks don't show up.
Right. And the context of what Dina was bringing up had to do with not only the Sam thing that was earlier, but someone had sent in a question, was Denise Coyne actually, who sent in a question asking about the resignation of Councilwoman Stubbs, who flat out said, I didn't approve that. I didn't say that in that letter. I didn't put that out there. So Denise had asked a question around, I forget her exact question in the ego, because they just dismissed it and said, oh, we already said that this is a political thing, so we're not going to address it. So Denise kind of got a little irritated with that and stood up and said something, but Dina did as well. Dina was one of the people that was named in a letter that was sent out to residents, and this is not, it's not dying. You know what I mean? They thought it was just going to go away, and this letter is now, since October, it's still being talked about in, what are we in, almost June almost here now, in the following year. It's not going away, and you'll see some other dialogue about that later on in the clips that we played. But that's what she's basically doing. And what they're doing is they're stopping people from, to your point here, it's just good people that just want to, make a difference. When people see that when they go to try to go run, they get completely smeared and smashed and talked about and everything else, it deters them from running, which then allows whoever it is that they know they're not going to get, bashed when somebody comes up to them and says, hey, listen, you want to be on the school board? I'm going to put your name on the ballot, and you might win. We're going to put your name on all the tickets. You don't have to do anything. Just we'll fund your campaign, put your name out there, run ads for you. We'll fill out your bio. What's your middle initial? Okay, we're going to put that in here. And then just run everything for you, and you win a seat, and then just go do your job. Whatever you do, just vote. Vote yes. Same thing on on other things. That's what they want to happen. Is just to be able to basically place people into positions that need to be elected, because when you have to go run for something, we're going to destroy you and make you feel like, you know what I mean, and it just deters people from running, and that's not how it's supposed to work.
Think about the negative. Thinking about all the negativity that has come out. Just go back to 2021. Go back to 2021. They tried to destroy Sam. They tried to destroy Joe. They went after you afterwards in the following year. Not because nobody that has been trashed had any kind of crazy thoughts on what they wanted to do with the township. There was no drastic.
It was that you're questioning and running against them and challenging them.
We're gonna cut all these services. There was no. They just said, look, we want to be able to communicate better than the current people do. Therefore, better transparency. we want to make sure that things are budgeted more responsibly.
You want to see at the table.
And that's it. That's it. A seat at the table. And these people they're still trashing Sam for years later.
Right.
They still have the same thing that he did 3 years ago, and they're still beating that in to make sure that guy never.
You know what they say about a dead horse? Every now and then you got to pick it up and slap it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're beating a dead horse over here.
All because they just want a seat at the table.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
But that's also, goes into our next clip here, where Denise Coyne gets up and stands up for all of our First Amendment right and asking questions when they're shutting down us asking them questions and trying to hold our the government accountable here. We're shut down, and she goes into a pretty good tirade about it over here.
This is
the long one.
This one's like 8 minutes. So
it's well worth it. I mean, if it wasn't worth it, we wouldn't play the whole thing. But it's really, I think, a good.
Yeah.
Denise Coyne, choose lady. Is there an ordinance or a resolution that prevents political speech at a council meeting?
Well, procedurally, we've had it in the past. If you're giving a political speech, it's not governmental. This is a governmental function, governmental body. And procedurally, council in the past have not permitted giving political speeches.
Okay, so that's a no. Okay, so there is no resolution, there is no ordinance, and your agenda states that people can discuss anything at the public portion, correct?
Discretion of council, anyone can stop. It's a political speech, which you're calling a political speech, or the council president, or in this case, council vice president running the meeting, can indicate that you're out of order.
Okay, so the questions that I'm asking come from a council meeting where there was a very long discussion regarding this letter. It went on and on. Several people were allowed to discuss it. Council replied to those discussions. So this was an open discussion that was previously had on a council meeting that I'm referring to in my eGov questions. So I would like to know how it is not a First Amendment violation for you guys to pick and choose which questions you answer and from what people you answer those questions for. I'm a citizen in this township. I have a First Amendment right to redress my government. That's what I'm doing. I'm asking you valid questions regarding a previous council meeting and a letter that was sent out identifying 2 councilwomen that went to residents and said community action was needed. I have a right to question the judgment of that letter.
Well, I recall the last meeting many, many months ago when that was discussed. The question was put to me if I knew, and I said no, I'd never seen the letter, and I don't know. I could not answer it. And the same answer came from other members of this governing body at that meeting. That bringing it up again seems to be bringing it up for political purposes, but the answers are going to be the same.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
You're asking this government to find out who politically put that out there?
No, I am asking my government to explain to the residents how a councilwoman can resign, stating that she had nothing to do with the letter that went out that identified her as a councilwoman. To me, that's troubling.
That's her statement.
She said she didn't make that statement. That's what was said to this people at the meeting. No, her statement was she did not authorize that letter.
That's what she said in her letter of resignation, that she did not authorize that.
That's correct. That's what she said. So my questions are, as a body of council members that represent the public, that are supposed to be able to have a level of trust with our government and our officials, I think the public deserves to know how this could happen. How can a letter be sent out identifying council members, community action needed, going to residents? How are we supposed to trust our government if something like that is allowed to happen and none of you people care?
Are you insinuating that government put that letter out?
I did not. I'm insinuating my government is not finding out how that happened, why it happened, who's responsible for it, and restoring some trust with the residents of this township between the residents and our members of council.
If anybody at this point is being political, you are.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
What you're asking this government to do, apparently, as I understand it, is to do a research out there, whether it uses police force or other enforcement investigations.
I didn't say that.
You're asking them to find out who did it.
We have a councilwoman sitting right here. Did she have anything to do with that letter? Did she authorize it?
I will share this. When I got information to how to respond, I was at a different I was at a event, and I responded to
information on how to respond.
She gave those speeches. What's her name?
Dina.
I responded to her. We had a lively conversation. I said I would speak to her outside of council chambers. So I kind of was not, she shared that we're getting crickets. I responded to her. So she accepted my conversation and we moved on.
You don't think the rest of the residents deserve an explanation?
The reason why there's no more discussion about it is because she has the answers, and if she does not want to share my conversation with you, then
okay. Well, if she asked you and you answered her, can I ask you? Will you answer me?
I do not want to have that conversation inside of council chambers, and I'm done with the conversation. I had it with her, and I shared it.
So the residents don't deserve an answer as to how our council people can be identified on a letter.
Today, as if there was never a conversation about the letter.
I don't care what she did. I don't care. I'm asking you as a resident of this township.
That's fine, but I'm not going to sit here inside of council chambers and deal with something that was outside of council.
Okay, but it was made a council issue. It is now a council issue. The fact,
It's not, you're making an issue, and is somebody else allowed that? And isn't that their First Amendment right? Isn't that protected?
I'm not talking about anybody's opinion. I'm talking about the fact that a councilwoman resigned, stating that a letter that went out that identified her as authoring something that went to residents that said community action is needed with 2 councilwomen on it, makes that governmental. To me, if I didn't know you guys and know this council and I got that letter, I would be concerned. Oh, we have councilwomen telling us community action is needed. Okay? Turns out that that was all a big lie.
So, Carolyn Grace had a lot to say there about the situation. A lot to say, but a lot for her. She claims that she had this conversation with Dina.
Well, first she had a question. She didn't know her name. This
Oh,
woman
yeah,
that was
she didn't say Dina.
She's so above her. She can't even remember her name. It's yeah.
Yeah, so she gives you the impression, look, I've cleared this up with her. You know, we're at peace now. I told her what was up. And it just so you saw clips of Dina earlier. Dina left before this.
Another thing, I kind of laughed and said it while it was being played, but she said, after I was told how to respond to her, I'd talk to her. Why do you need to be told how to respond to somebody?
Well,
and by who? Who's telling you how to respond to it?
So yeah, so now there's 2 things left that happened. Either she wrote the letter
and threw Stubbs on
it, or somebody else wrote the letter and said
she played along. Stubbs didn't.
Right.
That's basically those are the options.
The answer. So she's talking about the conversation that she had with Dina, and that she, giving us the impression.
Cleared up.
Look, we cleared it all up. Dina had left the meeting already. I texted Dina and I said, "Did she tell you if she did or did not write the letter?" And her response to Dina was, she said, "If my name is on it, I guess I did. And I wanted confirmation on it, but she never gave it to me."
And I was standing there with Dina when she did say it, because I had confronted her.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, this was at even as she stated it, I don't know if we had it in that clip, but it was at a political event, which wasn't a political event. It was the DOT organization, which is Mr. Bobby.
Right. Yes.
He had a breakfast meeting, and we were there, and Councilwoman Grace was at that meeting. At that meeting is where Dina actually was able to approach her, because she had run away after the initial meeting the first time. So this was just out in public. It's not like either of us went and sought her out anywhere. Just she was at an event, and okay, while you're at an event, hey, by the way, we're not in council chambers as your ground rules over there. Let's talk about this. And she kind of refused for a little while, but then finally did say, and she said exactly what Dina said. She would not admit to or deny. She just said, "What does the letter say? It says that my name's on it? Then I guess I wrote it." And that's the extent of it.
And then I guess she was asked directly.
Oh, yeah, she was asked.
Did you? And she would not give confirmation, but that was, it was kind of, I don't know. So she's either so bad that she orchestrated this entire thing herself, or she's playing the game. Neither one of those.
Or she's a complete puppet.
Yeah. Neither one.
I'll do whatever it is. You put something out and I say I said it. Yes, I'll say I said it. So it's one or the other. It can only be those 2 options, right?
This is so much worse than her just coming flat out and saying, "I wrote this letter because I believe this."
Mm-hmm.
If she did that, okay, then if she did that, then at least she's got an opinion. She's got an opinion. Well, even still, her opinion would have been formed by somebody else, because she doesn't know either one of you. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's.
Yeah, so then that letter just kept going. So, Ray Polidoro got up there and was asking about the letter. And he had a lot of good points.
Yeah, let's go into Ray.
I'll try and keep this as diplomatic as possible. 2 of the at the time, current councilwomen, had their name and likeness, but they also had their governmental position mentioned on that letter that had gone out. So for a person to come to at a public meeting and address those elected officials, whose names also included their titles, is not political. You have nowhere else to speak to them. You could not go to Mrs. Grace's house and ask her that. You certainly wouldn't want to follow her around at the ShopRite. This is the only opportunity for a government official who allowed their name and likeness to be put on there or didn't allow their name and likeness and title as councilperson. Now, Ms. Grace has chosen to take the path of least resistance, speak one-on-one and not address it publicly. Perfectly entitled to do so, but she has not once said that she approved of it to any of us to know that or disapproved. Now, based on the letter and Mr. Carlamere's acknowledgement of the verbiage on that, Mrs. Stubbs' name was used and her likeness was used and her title was used, and she is stating that she did not author and authorize that. And for the dignity of Mrs. Stubbs, who could not participate in a job that she seemed to enjoy, that's been an issue for some time, okay? Now, you're playing the hands-off thing that we didn't do it. Well, we all know the PAC that did it. We all know who's related to the PAC and the relations that we have with the several different PACs. You guys take money from them when you run for election. If you want to send a message and you don't agree that Mrs. Stubbs' name was used improperly and unauthorized, and Miss Grace was okay with it, but Stubbs wasn't, okay? Well, you have a way of dealing with that if you want to have some honor and respect and dignity and also show that to Mrs. Stubbs. Let's see what happens come election time. Let's see what happens when that PAC decides they want to donate a big chunk of money to you. You can send a message right there and then. Maybe you're not responsible, but let's see how responsible you are when that money's offered to you. Will you take money from that PAC? Is anyone willing to state, to send a message back to that PAC that really misused Mrs. Stubbs' name and position and put that out there? Are you willing to tell those people when you're running for election this year and in 2 years, we don't need that kind of money. We don't need that because of what you've done to our fellow council person. Maybe you should stand up for Mrs. Stubbs a little bit better and stand up to that PAC, because what you're doing, the hands-off thing, and never, ever, ever confuse a council meeting and people's redress of their council members. You know, you call it politics. Well, you guys are politicians. That's what politics is. You now have a position. Politics sometimes plays a part of that. I play a part of it. We all know that. But the bottom line is don't back up to politics when it's convenient for you and allow it other times, okay? Mr. Mercado sat at that dam, proclaimed his knowledge of where the bodies were buried because he was a card-carrying Democrat. Now, does that statement sound like politics or does that sound governmental?
I don't know. Is that governmental or
Brings up an interesting point. Would you follow them around ShopRite? Ask them questions if you didn't get your answers?
No.
I would.
You would?
I would. So, yeah, send a bad mailer out about me that's a lie, and I will follow you around ShopRite for sure.
Yeah, it's a weird thing for me with that whole thing. Like, to some degree, I could give. I couldn't care less, and then other things it pisses me off that they would do it. You know what I mean? Like, if she's not going to answer the question, it doesn't say anything. I'm going to get nothing out of chasing her down at ShopRite. It does nothing. Nothing for me. I'm not going to get any satisfaction out of it.
You got it.
I have better things in life to worry about than her and her opinion. I don't know. If she felt the need to write it.
There's consequences for being scummy, I think.
Yeah, I need no parts of it.
I think sometimes you got to answer. You got to answer for the slimy stuff that you've done.
But to Ray's point in this whole thing is, they use it when it's convenient, and when it's not convenient, they don't use it. And it's the same thing with we talk about other things too. It's they forget easily. What I had to talk about, what the answer is that you're asked to the question you're answering me. I conveniently forget it. Other times they remember down to the penny, a number for for something that was from 14 years ago, but they can't remember. There's something that's on the agenda that they're not prepared to answer for. That it's the same thing that they're doing with this situation here. I literally, I couldn't. After I went back and watched, I'm like, I can't believe it. In July or whatever it is now, or May, June, whatever, I don't even know what month we're in. What we're still talking about this letter here, and multiple people going up there and talking about it. But I don't think the outcome of, or the well, obviously the meeting would be different if Orlando was there. But do you think he would have allowed Ray or Dina or Denise to get up there and speak the way that they had? It would be a completely different recap we would be having here had he been in that seat.
It would. I think there would have been a lot more yelling. Their voices would have been raised more. There's an arrogance to Mercado.
It would have been shut down. You're not allowed to to say this kind of thing.
They would have tried talking over him. He would have tried talking over them. It would have been more of a mess.
I mean, one of the times that it came up, Dan jumped in to back him up and yelling that it's political. And this is setting a precedent if we're talking about this here.
Yeah.
Now, how many times has been brought up at the council meetings and it's still allowed, But my point of where I was going with that is, if he's not there and the meeting went like this, where Denise is able to get up there and redress her government and ask questions about her First Amendment rights, but we know that wouldn't have happened if Orlando was there. A change in council up there might be a nice thing, come.
It would.
November.
In November, you got the opportunity.
There are opportunities out there to change the council that's up there. Every time there's an election. And then when it doesn't change, people want to complain. It's not a candidate's fault. It's a you fault at home for not getting up and getting out and voting. Like, people need to make the change.
This is politics have grown and grown in this township. It's to the point now where if you don't know who's running in township, it's your fault. It's not that it's hard to find. One, these people don't get a ton of money. I mean, there's no enormous budgets for the opposition. There's not. There's no big money for the opposition. So you've got to click maybe for a couple minutes before you can find out who it is. But it's not impossible now.
I wouldn't even say minutes, a couple seconds.
It's
people's attention span is so low, and everyone's the main character on Earth is basically what it boils down to. They don't care about anybody else except this is my movie. You're just a support role in it, but I'm going to complain about something going on, and that's council's fault. When I as the main character had the opportunity to go off script and go over here and vote real quick for somebody else to change, but they don't, and it's a sad state of affairs that we're in here.
It is, and look, if you're watching this podcast and you've not voted, I'd say if you haven't voted every single year, there's an election every single year, and just because it's not president or governor, it's so much more important. It's so much more important locally.
Yeah.
Look, in 23, there's not a big election as far as like the media is going to tell you.
Right.
There's 4 council seats here that would change the landscape of all of this. And then on top of that, you've got, in our district, you've got LD4. You've got a Senate position to Assembly. Mm-hmm. You've got commissioners. There's a lot to vote for. Yeah. Don't stay
all
home
those
by
positions
any means.
Impact your life more than the president that you might be the one time you go out to vote. You should be voting in these smaller ones here.
Plus, we're in New Jersey. Your vote for president doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. It is decided before New Jersey's ever involved.
Yeah.
Sucks to say that, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and vote on local stuff because it is so much more important. And we wouldn't even need to have a podcast if y'all got out and voted.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to.
We would just, I don't know, we'd go find something else we could talk about.
Oh, I have a million things other to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, we could do a podcast. It's fun. We'll do a podcast on something else that's more exciting. But
we did have Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to the next clip, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we did have one good moment that in all this politics talk that that was going on with the Sam bashing, I guess we'll call it, the Sam leak, and how they're claiming Sam as a misogynist and all that. And I said earlier in the podcast about it being ironic, that they're calling him a misogynist. You brought it up before too, that we have was Lou Capelli? Is that who it was? That was
he's a commissioner right now.
Right, he's a current sitting commissioner.
And back in like 2011, 2012, he was investigated for domestic abuse.
Right.
Like actual abuse.
Right.
That's
okay.
Not
okay.
memes. He wasn't sharing memes.
Yeah, he didn't.
He was
share
investigated,
meme
and
that
then
offended someone.
And then I guess him and his wife were going through a divorce, and she claimed abuse, and then I guess they finally decided that they were going to split up, and then nobody was going to charge each other with anything, and they dropped it all.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody likely got the payment that they were looking for, the hush money, and then.
But either way, that's just one example. In these recaps that we do, the woman Denise Coyne that was often in here, the way that they treat her alone as a woman is disgusting. You know what I mean? So Ray Polidoro, who's another one that's constantly on here. We have what's Ray's clip? Let me play Ray's clip.
Ray's 15.
Wait, let's ask a question first. Is it disgusting that the way that they treat Denise? Oh, wait, no. Is that how he is it? Oh, I messed it all up. What's his clip, though?
In the English language, that's yes, correct? Yes. Okay.
Yes. It's disgusting how they treat Denise.
Yeah. And so Ray gets up there and makes a point about it. So it was a clip 15 here.
Whenever Miss Coyne gets up here and speaks, she comes up here with a great deal of research and knowledge. Okay? Now, I barked at you just as well as she has. You guys don't sit up in your seat and your veins pop in your neck when you talk to me. Right. You don't talk to me like that, right. But you do her. Did you hear the last exchange? You know what? Sometimes it's want from you guys, but all she asked and stated to you is that, and I've done this to you, Dan. This is not Jeopardy. I'm not the host of Jeopardy. You don't answer in question form. That's Jeopardy. Government. But you have gone round and round and round with her. Mr. Cardis, you got up in your chair and you started barking at her. You barked at her. You don't bark at me that way. You barked at her that way. Let's be fair. You're politicians. We're community activists. We're concerned about all that. But don't pick and choose. Be consistent. And for the love of Pete, please give the dignity to Mrs. Stubbs that she deserves. Okay? And that being said, when that PAC group offers you money, and if you take it, shame on you. You are telling Mrs. Stubbs, we don't care whether it was authorized. We don't care if you were the author. We're taking the money of the people that did this to you. Let's see you do that. Let's see you stand up. And let's see you stand up for Mrs. Stubbs.
Yep, there you go.
So, who wrote the letter was Carlamere's wife in that her pack.
Mm-hmm.
Her pack. So Carlamere, and we've covered that before, but that's the ironic part about the whole thing, where everybody's playing dumb.
Right.
Everybody's playing dumb, but likely that letter probably passed by the lawyer.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, is this slander, or can I get away with
when
saying
the head of the pack puts out a letter and her husband's a lawyer, I'm sure he took a look at it.
Right.
So, unless she went and hired another lawyer, which is kind of weird, and then never told him about it because he swore before.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this letter. But
not aware of it.
Yeah, that's.
But I mean, Ray had a great point there. That the Miss Stubbs is going to be a complete slap in the face if she's literally stated in her resignation letter, and we've shown it on here, on the podcast. She had nothing to do with that letter, and they're going to still take money from her, knowing that they basically forced her to resign. And now, him talking about the Denise Coyne thing, He's 100% right. Like it's the cat. What is it called? The pot calling the kettle black. With the whole misogyny thing. Just because it's memes that you were offended by does not mean that you're not being misogynistic every day. Over here at council with the way that she's treated, with the way that you're treated. Miss Stubbs in that scenario.
Their offense to the memes is a political thing.
Yeah.
They're choosing that. They're choosing that battle because it's all they had on one guy, and
it's an easy one.
There's so much else that they could. They just looked at all the people around them,
right,
and asked, and every one of them are perfect, and you'll find out they're really far from perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, we said it before. You can say, if you want to put a mailer out against somebody, but just something they said. Look, there's a million things that we've said on this podcast that probably you could look at and go,
I'm sure.
I'm going to take offense to that. Yeah. You could do it. You could do it.
You can take offense to it. We also, though, live in America and have the right to freedom of speech, right? The government doesn't give us that right. The government is supposed to protect us from anybody taking that away from us. It's a God-given right.
Yeah, you might look, and you should be able to. You should be able to speak your mind. It's funny, man. Some things you speak your mind and it's controversial, and then a little while later, it's no longer controversial anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, but it takes that one person to bring whatever the topic is. It takes that one person to go, I don't think that's right.
Right, just stand up, and I don't think that's right.
You stand up for something, people go, he's horrible. Why is he taking that side over there?
Right.
And then a little while later, people go, man, that guy was right. Should we apologize? Nah, we're not going to apologize to him.
Well, that means that we're admitting that we're wrong.
Yeah, so it's, it's one of those things. I think, obviously, memes were probably not the best way to go. But,
I'm not condoning, his memes, and I'm sure you're not here. It's just a matter of the tactics that are being used.
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, what do you do in that situation though, where you did something? Like I scroll through Twitter or Facebook, and then you see something, you go, oh, man, it deep down you're like, that's kind of offensive, but it's also funny at the same time. And say you hit retweet or you share, it's just a moment you're not thinking, and then it comes up, and then somebody says, man, how dare you? What do you do at that point? I mean, what do you do when you just?
Well, if you're Sam with his political aspirations of,
I guess,
being mayor, maybe you'd think twice before doing it, or don't be on social media in general. But as he said in his thing, it was at a point in time during COVID when
you're stuck in the house.
Yeah, people are going insane in their house. They're not allowed to go outside. You can't do anything. I'm not making an excuse for him. I'm just telling you what happened, when it happened.
Like divorce,
that has to play into it. Yeah,
divorce was rampant. Domestic abuse was through the roof.
Right.
Sam sharing memes.
Right. That's where we landed.
That's where it is. It was a horrible time in all of our lives. We're never going to forget 2020 or 21, or probably even 22. But 2020, absolutely horrible. So I just, does he go on the apology tour? And even if he did, would it have ever changed anything? If Sam wants to run again in a couple years, if he went through and apologized, got on his knees in front of the camera and said, I'm so sorry I did all this, and then in 2 years he's like, I want to run for mayor. You think they're going to go...
We got to talk him out of it. They're going to use the memes again. Sorry. Sam, they're going to use the memes again. You can't do it.
You can't. We're going to change his name.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's it. I hope to see you folks at Gloucester
Thank God
Township
it's
Day.
over. I don't even know how long we go. It's way long.
It took 9 hours to put this whole thing together, basically, I feel like.
Yeah.
And hope to see you guys at Gloucester Township Day. If you show
that, June 3rd?
June 3rd, yeah. June 3rd. I think I might be there all day, but I do have something else I got to get to. But if you stop in, please say hello.
Bring your babies by for them to kiss, and we'll shake your hand.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't want any pictures kissing babies because they'll use that against me too.
I don't know the laws and the rules around that
It's
stuff.
gonna be weird. Yeah, at some point, the rest of my team will be there. So you're gonna have Ray Henry's gonna stop by, Tim Pfeffer, and Joe D'Amico will be there. Stop by, say hello. Probably gonna ask if you guys subscribe to this podcast, and if you say no, it's gonna be really awkward. So
Yeah.
probably have to make you get your phone out, hit the button in front of me so I know. So
Yeah.
don't make it awkward. Do it right now. Subscribe to the podcast. Hit the notification bell because we upload at random times, and you're never gonna know. So do all that, and I guess we'll
see you later.
See you folks later.